really did. And you were like, I heard you coming on the show. And I was like, yeah, I'm joining the show. She was like, did they give you car stipend? 15 women have accused him of sexual assault. We've heard about the Stormy Daniels story, that he allegedly paid $130,000.
Once a familiar staple of daytime television, The View brought together a range of personalities and points of view to promote discussions on anything from politics to pop culture. Viewers had become used to the lively banter on the program, which often reflected the discussions occurring in homes throughout the country. But nobody could have predicted that the program would fall apart so fast in the middle of a fresh, dramatic litigation. Even a group of seasoned producers and co-hosts were unable to extinguish the fire that was started by a string of incidents. When everything was said and done, the program was formally canceled, and one of its most outspoken co-hosts. At first, there were whispers of problems, but the mood changed, and the production crew noticed it. Usually, friendly banter would give place to private whispered discussions, and when individuals did talk, it was in measured tones, as if a casual comment may start a larger argument. Rumors circulated the studio that the show's established reputation, as well as the careers of all those involved, were in danger due to an impending lawsuit. The host of Sunflower ended up in the middle of the whole mess. Longtime View viewers were aware that the program had weathered several scandals in the past, including heated political arguments, on-air accidents, and even legal disputes. Insiders, however, muttered that this case was unique because it wasn't a standard grievance or a settlement that could be readily arranged. It seemed that the plaintiff, who was believed to be a well-known individual with a track record of legal violence, was prepared to fight the program and its co-hosts all the way to the finish. Everyone was apprehensive because the possible lawsuit had strong ties to both the political and business spheres. When Sunny Huston, who is renowned for her straightforward manner and readiness to take on big assertions, started into a pointed criticism of this well-known individual on live television, it was an early warning flag. When the co-hosts entered their seats, brought up a controversial subject, and got into a furious dispute for the cameras, it first seemed to be just another day at The View. As Sunny voiced comments so sharp that the conversation in the control room immediately paused, the topic quickly heated up, and some viewers cringed while others cheered her honesty. Sunny's target had a reputation for not accepting criticism, uncontested. A barrage of divisive social media posts ensued over the following several days. Some supporters believed Sunny went too far and made unfounded accusations, while others applauded her for bringing attention to suspected misbehavior and supported her campaign. Backstage, the production team had a sense of dread. A number of staff members stated that Sunny's conduct had changed noticeably.
They had a vision of how do we create community and create a space where we are welcome in a country where we are not welcome. And I think that was the goal, has been the goal, and they have really maintained that.
Trouble set this instance apart. Sunny, initially confident and casual, grew visibly anxious after rumors spread that someone she criticized might sue her, the show, and its network for defamation. A formal letter from the claimant's lawyers accused the show of airing slanderous remarks, citing transcripts and demanding a retraction. The threat of a costly lawsuit unsettled executives, recalling a day when Sunny had discussed unverified allegations on air. Emergency meetings ensued, and the network faced the stark possibility of a high-stakes legal battle. Tension rose as the program tried to seem confident and the presenters carried on as normal, making jokes about celebrity rumors or talking about the most recent political scandal off camera. From broadcast parts to behind-the-scenes material, their attorneys scrutinized everything for signs of editing error or disclaimers. Sarah Haynes displayed forced politeness and a wait-and-see attitude when the subject of Sunny's comments was brought up. Despite the pressure on the stage, none of the co-hosts could see a clear path out. When the case was officially filed, complete with legal citations and direct claims, the ultimate blow was delivered. Longtime co-host Joy Bear tried to make unpleasant situations funny, but her quips came across as overdone whoopee, and Goldberg was uncharacteristically. The plaintiff's reputation was damaged by The View and Sunny Hostin, according to court filings, since they said or inferred certain facts without enough evidence. Even the confidential public statement that the network's legal team produced was nerve-wracking, since any error or admission of guilt might make matters worse. The final draft of ABC's statement was as cautious as possible, admitting the complaint and expressing the network's determination to defend the show's freedom to express ideas on subjects of public importance. But the term matter of public interest raised the possibility that the original piece went too far, especially if it included assertions that were almost more than views.
15 women have accused him. We've heard about the Stormy Daniels story, that he allegedly paid $130,000.
Were you pissed that she canceled on your show?
I was. Only because, we're a very supportive environment for women. I mean, I think any guest will tell you that.
After the lawsuit became public, tensions in the studio escalated. Reporters swarmed, asking questions as co-hosts moved between vehicles and dressing rooms. Negative headlines drove sponsors away, and longtime partners cut ties to avoid PR fallout. Revenue plummeted, sparking rumors the network might cancel the show. Executives scrambled for solutions, while Sunny, at the center of the storm, struggled to stay composed. Her outspoken nature, once celebrated, now seemed a liability. Efforts to manage the crisis, including a proposed apology, stalled as Sunny resisted admitting fault. Major sponsors withdrew, triggering a funding collapse. Finally, ABC announced a temporary hiatus to address the legal issues.
Taught me, all the mathematical tables, and by the time I got into third grade, the teacher said, she's just passed all the standardized tests up to 12th grade. We've got to move her out. So I moved. They found a place for me in Manhattan.
The message avoided using harsher language, but it was generally seen as the first step toward the show's complete termination. In the studio halls, staff members, some of whom had been on the program for years, found themselves cleaning out desks, packing up their clothing, and offering each other heartfelt embraces. By reading between the lines, seasoned staff members believed that the program would not resume within the next 24 hours, while others clung to the optimism that this would simply be a brief interruption and not the end of the show. The View was formally canceled when the news was reported in tabloids and internet news sources. According to insiders, The Viewpoint had been on the verge of collapse for a while, often pursuing controversy to boost viewership, but it seemed they had overreached themselves. As was to be expected, social media was ablaze with discussion about how one lawsuit might bring down a behemoth of the daytime TV business. Some fans, weary of the show's turmoil, rejoiced at the news, while others lamented the passing of a forum that, despite its flaws, had fostered vibrant debate and the voices of women. In the meanwhile, several fans, especially, attacked the network for failing to defend Sunny more strongly, in their opinion, when legal problems emerged. According to insiders, Sunny had personal reasons for not being on set on the day of the network's announcement. According to others, she was having lengthy discussions with ABC lawyers to see if she had any options or whether she was personally at risk of legal trouble. According to others, she reportedly sobbed as she went home to gather her thoughts after feeling guilty about the fact that her remarks may have lost so many of her colleagues their jobs. The paparazzi soon confirmed that Sunny had really been seen with her eyes downcast as she left the studio via a side door. The network's most recent public statement attributed the show's fate to ongoing legal problems and strategic programming decisions, although it did not expressly blame Sunny. The message was clear: The View's sudden cancellation was mostly caused by the lawsuit and the controversy surrounding it. Major media sources examined the topic from all sides, posing questions such as, if The View had gone wrong, might co-hosts have taken further safeguards to shield themselves from legal retaliation? More significantly, did Sunny's demise signify for all talk programs that tinkered with controversial assertions in the days that followed? The most intimate elements of the story were used by the tabloids, who highlighted Sunny's last minutes on set, describing how she got to her dressing room, cautiously removed private images from the mirror, and stopped to glance around in evident anxiety. Shortly after, an unverified video footage showing Sunny hugging a producer in the hallway as tears were streaming down her face was taken by a staff member's phone. It was dubbed Sunshine Hoon in the headlines, and both favorable and negative comments were all over social media.
To share it, actually.
Why?
I will tell you, because I knew that it would get pickup. I knew that it would be Sunny Hostin from The View. And
So what?
I know.
But this happened to you. You weren't
It
lying.
happened, but I will tell you, right after it happened, I went over to Joy Behar's house, and she said, "What's wrong with you? You're not your usual self." And I told her, and she said, "We're talking about this on the show."
She faced backlash over controversial remarks, leading to legal battles that put her career on hold. Her social media activity dwindled, and she remained mostly unreachable, fueling speculation about her future. While co-hosts expressed regret over the show's downfall, none blamed her directly. The View's, once a bold platform for political and social debates, collapsed under the weight of controversy, prompting media discussions about the risks of pushing boundaries in daytime television.
Really did. And you were like, "I heard you coming on the show." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm joining the show." She was like, did they give you car stipend?" I was like, "No." did they give you this? I was like, no. I was like, let me get my deal sheet out. And you basically went over your salary for the entire time you were there. And you also gave me Jenny McCarthy's salary.
Were put out by some. They believe that, given the present situation, any talk program that encourages unrestrained comments on well-known people might face legal action. For many loyal fans, it was the inevitable outcome of a format that thrived on controversy, but others insisted that it was an extreme case, pointing out that the viewpoint had previously avoided near-legal disasters, but this time collided with a plaintiff who was resourceful and determined enough to see the case through. They remembered how The View began as a means of showcasing several generations of women discussing important subjects, from pop culture trivia to serious political arguments, so the show's formal cancellation seemed like losing a piece of cultural history. It became into a contentious issue and a ratings giant over time. There are other similar programs, none have the same history or length as The View, and the abrupt discontinuation left a gap in daytime broadcasting. Major journals released scathing editorials on the difficult balance talk programs occupy as the case developed, especially when they mix factual claims with comments. When discussing defamation standards, legal experts reminded the public that a plaintiff must show that the defendant knew or proved that a statement was false and harmful. Whether or not Sunny's fervent statements were accurate, the formal termination of the program brought on by that new lawsuit was eventually one of the most dramatic developments in modern television history. The narrative evolved in a dizzying whirl of stress, conjecture, and behind-the-scenes bargaining, from the earliest indications of legal threats to the day management pulled the plug. Camera cut signaled the sudden end of a broadcasting institution that had influenced cultural discussions for years, not merely the termination of a well-liked daytime program. A silent vacuum descended onto the once vibrant stage as the scattered co-hosts and personnel parted ways. Only time will tell whether Sunny Horton or any of her former colleagues can really recover from the shockwaves of viewpoints collapsing. The defamation case is a frightening reminder of how one lawsuit supported by influential people may topple even the most well-known corporations. The melancholy realization that The View's final chapter came far more unexpectedly than anybody could have predicted tingles the memory of that lively roundtable. Even though The View set is now empty and gloomy, its cancellation will go down in media history as a sobering turning point that highlights the fine line that must be drawn between defending more free-ranger commentary and shielding a program from the legal risks that arise when a well-known individual chooses to stand up for the people who used to watch daily. So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you don't want to miss out on the hottest celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to Daily Finder.